if my heart is set upon being the kind of leader that God's people need, I got to be respectable. Now that is an incredibly Victorian sounding value, isn't it? Surely respectability is all about avoiding doing those things that make people go, ooh. Well, yeah, that's a very superficial, very negative way of being respectable, and it's very closely related to hypocrisy. In the time that Jesus was walking about on the earth, no one was more respectable than the Pharisees, and he used to tell them, do not do your acts of righteousness before men to be seen by men. That kind of respectability is its own reward. You have respectability, great, well done. But Jesus also said, let your light shine before men, so that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father who is in heaven. If my heart, therefore, is set upon being the kind of leader that I believe God wants me to be, if I aspire to that, then I have to avoid the two extremes. One of putting on a show for people, a demonstration, and earning respect that way, and the other of consciously concealing myself. And both of those are hypocrisy. People cannot respect what they cannot see. What use is an invisible example? There used to be a wonderful comic a while back who created a character called Shadwell. And Shadwell used to get sent to school wearing an invisible anorak. Well, an invisible anorak, of course, is absolutely no use. Similarly, you might ask a lot of Christian leaders who are very content with their own quiet time, with their own walk with the Lord. Yeah, that's great, but what use is an invisible example? If I have a direction that I know God's people need to go in, I have to go in that direction myself so that people can see. They can test the integrity of it. Because this is what they do with Jesus, isn't it? You know, think about Luke 11 and the teaching on prayer. The disciples hear Jesus praying, and then they ask him, tell us how to pray. Teach us how to pray. So he teaches them. And it's got to be that way round, hasn't it? That's the best way. So the kind of respectability that we are talking about here is not achieved by limiting access to ourselves. Now, I don't mean that people have got to be able to get to us 24/7 all the time, you know, knock on the bathroom door and I demand to be taught. No. And again, back to what we said about manipulation. No, people sometimes they need those boundaries that say, yeah, I'll talk to you in a moment. But if we're keeping people at arm's length and creating in that way for ourselves an aura of respectability, just because we never let them get close enough to test the integrity of our lives, no, that's not the kind of respectability that we're talking about. That's our old friend hypocrisy. It denies people the kind of example that they can follow. People need leadership that they can respect. Now that does mean all-round integrity in our lives. That's the challenge of leadership. If my heart is set upon it, remember what we said, my heart is set upon a noble task, all-round integrity. That doesn't happen overnight. It's not happened in me yet, but my heart is set on it. But it not only that, it doesn't just mean all-round integrity. It's all-round integrity that people can test for themselves. What use is an invisible example?